All right, here's a quick rundown on filters. I've got some rain sounds here, and I've clicked this region, and that has automatically set the in and out points, and I've turned looping on so I can keep that sound going. I've got track audio 1 highlighted here in my track view. That highlights audio 1 in my mixer view, and so I'll go up to the effects section here, click the plus, and uncategorized under VSTs, add plug data, and then I'll pick our filters patch. I'm also going to double click here in our EQ section that's built in. These filters are fine to use too once you get familiar with them, but for right now it's useful for the frequency analyzer. And so I'll get sound playing, and I'll click some of these filter types. So here's a high pass filter. Maybe you noticed the low frequencies disappeared. Normally our unaltered sound goes down to 150 hertz or so. With the high pass filter with a cutoff frequency of about 1,000, you can see that's been lessened. And then in the low frequencies, I can raise that cutoff frequency. And remember, it's not a sudden cutoff. It has a roll-off. That's the nature of time domain filters, because they're all related to like a running average. Something that's close to the average is going to still persist. Something that's far away from the average is going to get attenuated, left out a lot more, de-emphasized. And so I can click this button to reset to these parameters whenever I want. There's my high-pass filter. If I switch to a low-pass filter, can you hear the difference? That's with that same cutoff frequency, but now it's passing everything below the frequency and attenuating, or starting to attenuate everything above the frequency with this roll-off. And so I can lower that roll-off so that we can narrow down to just the lower frequencies here. In the middle is a band pass frequency. It passes whatever a band around this, now not a cutoff frequency, but a center frequency. See? And so we can see we've got this hump in the middle, but these are resonant filters, all of them, and so we can increase the Q value. Remember, Q has no unit. It's the inverse of bandwidth. So the higher the Q is, the narrower our band gets. Watch as I increase Q. The band we're letting through gets narrower, and it sounds narrower. Starts to sound more pitched, right? Maybe more like an airy whistle until I increase it a lot more. Very high Q values make a nice resonant ring. You might want to use some makeup gain here. I've got some makeup gain here in my equalizer as well. Volume controls all over the place. Don't get too lost with those. Okay, I'll reset this to regular values here. And now with a high shelving filter, shelving filters focus on one sound, one part of a frequency range, leave the other one alone. So a high shelving filter targets the high frequencies and will boost or cut those high frequencies while leaving the lower frequencies alone. A low shelving filter will cut or boost the low frequencies while leaving the rest alone. And we'll give it a different cutoff, a lower cutoff frequency. So get some more bass out of there. And then we have it's labeled EQ, I think, because graphic equalizers are made of these filters, but they're more standardly called the peak notch filter. And so that's leaving everything alone except for a band in the middle, which we can boost or cut and make a notch. You can see that notch happening in there. Okay, and the other filter type is a mysterious all-pass filter. The all-pass filter passes all frequencies with equal loudness, but it creates the same disruption in phase that every filter creates. It just allows us to hear it, especially because anytime we're shifting something in time, even if it's teeny amounts like shifts in phase, we're not going to hear it unless we combine it with other sounds or combine it with itself. So we can see the input is going straight to the output, and the input is going through our filter to be changed. So let's hear not how different bands change amplitude, but we can hear these ripples in the phase. Maybe you've heard of a guitar pedal that just creates ripples in a phase. What should we call that?